Okay, g'day, and welcome to the Forbidden History Chronicles. You're here with NinjaCat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series YouTube channel. He's also broadcasting on a new channel called Forbidden History Live. I will put a link to that in the description below on every one of these live streams. First broadcast was, when was it? It was on Friday. It was on Friday. My Friday. I think. I don't know what day it is these days. But anyway, it was a couple of days ago and it was fantastic. It was so good. Anyway, we'll get into it. Where are we? Okay, the signs of the times. In essence, Desert discusses the history of the world and how the unseen hand has been running it from the very beginning of time. Who they are and how they have founded all of the first great civilizations that are found all around the world. about who the giants really were, the ancient Aryan caste and slave systems, the priesthoods, the anti-gravity V-manners, the Earth-based misnomered UFOs, which are man-made, the control of all forms of communications, commerce, religion, mass media, pseudo-politics, etc. It is the grand deception that is used to control all of mankind, and all instituted through the three main religions of the world in particular, used as their grand cover. Their cybercode has been revealed to him because he has become adept within the study of the ancient alphabets, communications, symbolism, religion, custom, law, cosmology, and mythology, not to mention the fallacy of today's political science and pseudoscience in particular. He can also define the true nature of their warfare, their shell game of bringing one civilization up for their temporary use and then taking it down for the next 500-year generational cycle, as symbolized by the classical phoenix. Desert discusses the ultimate in mind control, an ancient art and the financial control, the secret societies and their blood occult rituals, and how they wage all wars throughout all time through the nations that they have created, which are all imaginations, plantations, and mere corporations. They have taken blood oaths to surrender their self-will and mind to their blind goddess, who has demanded our blood from the very beginning of time. They communicate to their minions through the movies, TV, and print media, while he can see, read, and interpret most all of it. It all says that they are using us for our ingenuity, for our collective constructive labour, for experimentation, and in the end they intend to kill us all. They have given us full notice of what they are doing and what they fully intend to do, while all of the general population, the sheeple, they merely go there to be entertained. The New World Order is the Old World Order from the beginning of time. There is a major cosmic natural disaster that is about to happen on Earth, and they know it, but they are cleverly leaving us in the dark. Hence the reason that they have built hundreds of underground bases all around the world, while they are leaving all of the people to remain unprepared, uninformed, and above ground, so that when it comes, the mere 5% who will survive above ground will die from the weaknesses and disease that has been generated from all of the poisons that they have been feeding us, from the chemtrails to fluoride in the water, to tainted vaccines, to fake food, etc., etc. They have enslaved us all by the clever means of deception, because we, most all, are their cattle, chattel, property, and because they merely wanted to harness our labour, what they always needed, which is what backs most of the world's currency through the birth certificate. But they are all through with us now. It is written in stone, as it can be seen written in the Georgia Guidestones. To know the truth is to be empowered and to be prepared. We may not be able to stop what has been done and what is about to happen, but the innocent and decent people on planet Earth deserve to know. And that fantastic introduction was written by Dezert-Owl, who I'd like to welcome to the program. As per usual, how's it going, Desert?
Hi, Ninja. So it's going okay, and life is interesting. You know, that's one thing for sure we can say. This planet is rather interesting, and it's not what we thought it was when we first came into it, and we have to wake up to that reality.
Yeah.
And but we have two natures that that contend with each other: the lower and the higher. And so it's to identify with the truth that the lower is the illusion, that is the serpent, and that the higher nature is the spirit, and it is before creation came to be. So it is a great mystery, and thank you for that audio check, Yalav. And we're trying to make lemonade out of the lemons that they gave us, you know, and lemonade is sweet. Lemons are hard to take straight, right? But so we just have to continue, and I'm so grateful for you to put on this broadcast, because it allows us to talk about things in ways that nobody else is talking about.
Yeah.
They're caught up on the merry-go-round of the illusions. They're observing the external when they need to be going inward, and observing the internal and unraveling the mystery of the self, so that the ego can be crust, just like in the proverbial story of Genesis, that the serpent is biting at our heels and constantly pulling us down and poisoning us, whereas we need to step on the head of that serpent. That's the original interpretation of that scripture that has been very intentionally corrupted, so that the simplicity of that one does not get, you see. And so it's real simple once we pull back in. And hello to Shannon out there in D.C. Almost said good morning, but I checked myself.
I know what that's like.
You heard it almost come out, right?
Sorry? I missed that.
It almost came out. I heard it.
Yeah, I know what it's. I'm always checking myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we don't want a mourning anymore. Well,
no.
We have to mourn for the world, because the world is in a sad state, and we have to feel sorry for all of the, the creation, the beautiful creation that the great Elohim made, and then now it's being literally decimated by the most wicked mindset of, people were stoned to death and burned alive for simpler things, and still, is beyond the, and then they got people, wanting to support Israel when they literally are the greatest terrorist nation on the planet next to the United States itself, corporation in a box, and they took down the, killed, mass murdered 3,000 people right there in Technicolor in 2001 in New York City in the proverbial Twin Towers, the columns of Freemasonry, the Joachim and Boaz, the two towers symbolizing sun and moon, pillars of creation, and they still got people, poor victim Israel, poor victim, and they don't get the grand illusion that has been fed to them.
Yeah, it's all opposite. All opposite.
It's a grand illusion, and we have to get through this illusion, and so we have to be deep thinkers. We have to see and read things for ourselves. We have to read things we never read before. We have to realize that even when we thought we figured it out, we may not have figured it out.
Yeah. I'm finding that in my journey, Desert. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. You think you've connected all the dots and nah.
And this I found typical to the freedom movement, because a lot of people were able to wake up to the one world order insanity, and that governments are there to kill them. But yet they, even when they woke up from the exoteric deception, then they think they've already achieved some plateau of enlightenment, and therefore now they know because they think they know, and yet they still act like idiots, and and everything's funny, and there's no depth within their soul. What we need is deepness. We need deep thinking, and we need to realize how far from the greatness we really are, and by putting on that greatness, then we little by little achieve a higher level of consciousness. Consciousness then meaning we are conscious of what other people are not able to see, and especially on the higher level where there's visions and an ability to read the higher Attic diction of the great breath of the wind and fire, the Holy Spirit that breathed into a star.
Wow.
And wants to breathe into all of us.
Wow.
So, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to, and boy, I wish I knew where that quote was, because I had a, just the way I was talking right there, it reminded me of something. Let me see if I can find it here.
That was beautiful. I loved it. Those last two lines. Those last two lines. Yeah.
I'll just read a couple highlights in another quote here that I was reading this morning. It must be his best that he offers. Okay, the first thing that any true man ought to settle with himself when confronted with an occasion for sacrifices, what it is he really has to give. It must be his best that he offers to the highest, not his second best. In fact, sacrifice rightly comprehended involves this all the way along. You have to sacrifice yourself in order to form yourself. That's what I was looking for. In order to form yourself, by sacrifice, we have to become something that we never even imagined before. That's what it is. Or I like that other quote that I read the other day. Let me see if I can pull it out of my box real quick here. And where is it? Okay, it is never too late to be what you might have been. That's George Eliot, you see. So we're considering that the infinite is speaking, and yet we've never been able to hear his voice. We only heard a type of his voice, because the occult are claiming the voice. The darkness is clothed with the light, and they look pretty good, but they've got a problem. They're psychopaths, they're blood drinkers, they're rapers of men, women, and children, and they love murder. You know, and I always, you know, what once struck me was these pictures of World War II, and you see them, they marched all the Poles, let's say the Polish, into the ditch. You know, there's the SS stormtroopers with their machine guns, and then you got the Catholic priest at the end of the ditch on top, standing next to the SS officers, giving the people in the ditch their last rites. And I'm thinking, you know, how come the priest isn't in the ditch with everybody else?
Good point. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
He's up there giving them their last rite.
Yep.
You know, while they're being murdered, because the Nazis were the agents of the Vatican. They were doing the bidding of the Vatican. It was the Vatican. They were the Vatican assassins. You know, because they are the ones who are running our world secretly. But of course, that's just the front office for the unseen hand of a group of people that I talk about, of course, as the Bekodesh, or the Watchers, the fallen ones. Not some invisible creature with wings on his back, but Aryans that became the ancient Aryan Brahmin priesthood that operate in the shadows behind the scenes. They engineered Rome. The secretary is the secret eye, the secret Torah, the secret power of the eye. He comes and whispers in the Nero's ear. Now, don't forget, Nero, you need to do this, or Bhagwan Gandhi Rashid won't be very happy with you. So go ahead and kill those people, okay? Yeah, I got it, and I get to play my violin later tonight, right at the audience. Yeah, sure, you get to play your violin. Okay, great. Let's kill these people, you know? And so they'll do anything for, a little prestige and a little power. And, of course, the people of the world are not enlightened, and therefore, they're easily sucked into whatever, just like the people willing to fly the aircraft to spray our skies.
Yeah.
You know, what insanity! You're willing to participate in the destruction of your own family and of your own world, and of the creation that was given to us by the great breath of the wind and fire. You're willing to sell yourself out, and your planet and your people and your family. You're willing to sell everything out for what? A paycheck? A paycheck, right? You know, I wish I could have a paycheck like those preachers every Sunday that have their brand new automobile. They're given a home, food, and $50,000 to $100,000 or more a year. You know, I've had to have all this come to me while I'm living in a gas station in Central Florida, or a Quonset hut, like an airplane hangar in East Texas, or homeless. You know, and I know that the truth is the only true treasure in heaven. This is the treasure. There is no other wealth other than knowing who you are, where you are, when you are, and why you are. You know, that's it. That's it. There's nothing else. Anything you have right now will not go with you wherever you go. Okay? It's only while you're on this planet that you have these possessions, but you came in with nothing, and what you go out is the only thing that remains is who you are, what you did, and what you became. So it's not too late. Not too late to be what you wanted to be, you know. And but there's little time. So I'll read here out of the Dictionary of Scriptures and Myths, and I've got also an interesting read, a short read out of the Aryan origin of the alphabet, and then we got some symbolism, and then maybe we'll cap off with a few words. But so Jesus, Yeshua, of course we know about Jesus and that name. That's occultic. but it's okay because, Jesus introduced me to Joshua, the father of light, wears the mask. That's the good news. He wears the mask. He's willing to be denigrated and to, be revealed through the occultic traditions because we're getting a message here. Okay, so I think we may have a caller in a little bit on Ninja, so that's great. And
okay.
so a symbol of the Yeshua as a servant, a symbol of the awakening soul, receptive of the favor for all of Yahweh. Yeshua being a generic name with varieties such as Joshua and Yeshua, it is requisite that it should be allocated to a particular described type before it may bear a symbolic meaning.
Were you asking me?
No.
Sorry, you disappeared.
I thought I put that on mute. The didache, which in the expression Yeshua, your servant, occurs, is a sort of ethical dissertation upon the qualities referenced to the coordinating principle, the Moeshiach, Christ, is rare. Let me read this again. The knowledge of the didache means the knowledge of the two ways. The knowledge of the two ways in which the expression Yeshua, your servant, occurs is a sort of ethical dissertation upon the qualities, reference to the coordinating principle, the Moeshiach, is rare. There is no biographical account, and then I put here not true, because there is a biographical account. There's one in the letter of Pilate to Tiberius, when he explained what happened during the crucifixion, and then there's the Aquarian Gospel. We also have that on the Real Public Radio.net.
Yeah.
The Aquarian Gospel, major work. It is the original Gospel, in fact. Okay, so but continuing here, on account, so probably that the idea of the star message of enlightenment and the drama had not yet arisen in the religious mind in connection with the title of Yeshua. When it did arise, the star message of enlightenment and also detached sayings relating to Yeshua became very numerous indeed. As to the bread, which symbolizes his body, we give thanks in this wise. First for the chalice, which is the cup, but of course that cup doesn't exist anymore. There's people claiming, the cup that Yeshua had his Last Supper at. Can you imagine the 12 saying, "Hey, did anybody grab the cup that we, had at the supper?" Like they really thought about that. They were in hiding. They were in fear for their lives. And the last thing they were thinking about was, "Hey, did you get the cup that we drank out of?" So this is how the occultic work, of course.
Yeah.
Nobody could logically process and think that the cup was a cup. It was irrelevant to the story. And that's where this idolatry comes from. Like the Vatican, and
I have
they
stuff
have
to add to.
bones.
Sorry, I have stuff to add to that. Just letting you know.
All right. Yeah. So first, so we thank you, our Father, Great Father, for the pure vein, the pure wine of Tavat, David, the Esherfan, servant, which you have made known to us by Yeshua, your servant, the illuminating light to you forevermore. For the bread, we thank you, our Great Father, for the life and for the knowledge with which you have made known to us by Yeshua, your Esherfan, your servant. Glory, illumination to you forevermore. That's out of the Doctrine of the Apostles, a very ancient writing, and of the divine life within the natural. And I think I read this actually on the other program now that I'm read that part. And I didn't remember to look up that Doctrine of the Apostles.
I did.
Oh, you did? Did you find it?
I found it and downloaded it. I did, indeed. Yes.
You did?
I did.
Okay, well, I need to get the link then, okay, if you can pass that on.
Yeah. And, no worries.
Right?
Yep.
So, okay, no, I'm not worried. Okay, just do it. And, okay, let me pass on to the next quote then, because I realized we had read that one.
Okay.
Yeshua the pattern or the exemplar. Okay, the whole course of the typical life of the pattern of a Shan is emblematic of the progressive development of the life begun on earth, completed in the throne of the sun. In other words, it goes back to the light. Born of self-denial and culminating in spiritual ascension in the Moeshiach life. As in a story, a Shan may read the tale of the progress of spirit from incarnation to enfranchisement. The life of Eshan, the Moeshiach Yeshua, was a symbolic representation of the progress of spirit. And that's W. Stranton Moses' Spirit Teachings. Real quick, I don't know if we're gonna have a caller unless I check what that text was about. So if you give out my information, Ninja, then I'll be right back. I'll see what that is, because we have a question today about the birth certificate, so we're going to talk about the nature of the birth certificate and where that comes from, I think. So I'll be right back, okay?
Okay. I'll just get Desert's information. And I'm already taking notes, so I will save mine for later. The birth certificate sounds interesting. Okay, you can, if you would like to donate towards the most important transliteration project ever, you can go to www.therealpublicradio.net. That's www.therealpublicradio.net. And there's a donate button there. You can also use PayPal. In doing that, you will receive 3 PDFs. First one, the Real Da Vinci Code, Etymological Dictionary, written by Dezert-Owl. You also get a copy of the Book of Wisdom and a sample of the original gospel with a more up-to-date version of the dictionary attached to it. While Desert still gets his channel going again, there's still technical issues. My email is in every description on these live streams, so you can contact me for the PDFs. If you can't afford to donate and you would like copies, just contact me and I'll get them to you anyway. It's very handy to see and read for yourself. It helps you understand and see the big picture a lot easier. We take live callers. We're probably going to have one soon. And if you'd like to call in during the stream, text Desert first, and so that he can call you. We're very techie here. That's how we have to do it. His number is 608-566-7295. That's 608-566-7295. If you're international, just put a +1 at the start. You can also call Desert with questions. You can. He loves being interviewed. If you want to interview him outside of the program, you can give him a call as well. And you can Skype him on Free America Radio, all one word, Free America Radio. So yeah. You good, Desert? Or will I start whistling?
I'm here, and we're going to do a stream in 5 minutes. We just, Jet out in California, she is almost good to go, so I just confirmed that. Okay. And so in the meantime, I have a read from this book here. I think I'll jump into this because this is, I read the back cover the other day, and I'm going to just do one segment out of it each day because this is mind blowing. This is now backs this book. The Aryan origin of the alphabet is backing everything I've been alluding to about the the Indo-Germanic and the modern day alphabet. We find what we call the Phoenician alphabet, which is really the original Aramaic alphabet. So we're I'm just as I've said over and over, the Heavenly Father, the Great Spirit, always allows me to see something first and to be fully persuaded in it. Then He brings me that confirmation, showing, of course, His pattern of love to reveal that which has been hidden from us. Like He says, there's nothing unknown that cannot be known. There's nothing in secret that cannot be revealed. So it's beautiful truth that we have here. And what He wants us to do is to get on, to use a cliche, to get on the bandwagon, because we want to know things for some reason without Him. We want to, be able to do things ourselves. We want to reinvent the wheel. We want to, who needs the Creator? I think that was what I was alluding up to when I got distracted there. Was about the fact that the one who made all things is the only one who reveals all things. If somebody thinks they're going to figure this out by themselves, well, one thing is a fact: you cannot keep your soul alive. As everybody has come into the world, they leave the world, and they can know that real easy, but just by logically thinking and looking around, and to know that we come and go. And so the whole point of our coming here is to discover the true nature of our being, and then to put on that light that we fell from, and then we can put on true life, the true life that is in the one who made all things. Imagine the very to use a cliche again, the guy who made the universe, the first atom, atom, the first made of all things that are made. He constitutes all things, and all things are in Him. And He, when in this process of the Great Father Yahweh making His only loved seed, His Son, the great atom, which is on a finite level, at the very bottom of the microcosm, knew from the get-go that when He formed creation, He was going to give His Son as a sacrifice, right? Give His Son as a sacrifice. And that is just, a mind-blowing concept to show what divine love, the Trevane love, the tree of life, is all about, And so it is, what He endured, what He had to endure, and of course it was through a false tradition.
Yeah.
False.
Yep.
It wasn't, okay, I see Jet is standing by, so I think I made my point there, that this divine love is so, it's totally on an advanced level.
Yeah.
We're still stuck in the mud, trying to, try walking in the mud. It's really difficult,
yeah,
right?
I know what I have actually.
Down to the earth.
Yeah.
And yet we're supposed to be on the highest plateau in the clouds,
Yeah.
And so it's a real work. It is a real work, and that's why, and I am amazed that we don't have more listeners, but I noticed that the few listeners we have, they're very dedicated and they get it, and that's really profound. I'm so honored to know that there's people that actually value, this depth of where I go, because
that's important. That's important.
Past all that surface religion,
Yeah.
Jesus loves you. Yes, I know, for the Bible tells me so. It's so much more, and so. And it took me a lifetime, to be able to really convey it. That's what's ironic about it, because I was seeing it, but I didn't have all the pieces, and now we do. So I'm going to hold on to this Aryan origin of the alphabet till after we take our call, okay? Not to hold up Jed out there, because she may have other things to do. And I'm grateful for calling in. So let me do a three-way and give out any more bit of information or whatever, to do a song and a dance. Ninja, and I will be right back, okay?
I'm just going to say g'day to Shelley. How's it going? Fantastic program the other day. Absolutely loved it. Your sound quality is better than mine.
And by the way, give out the schedule for her on Fridays and Sunday nights at 9 p.m.
Okay, so I was right. Friday and Sunday. Okay, 9 p.m. Did you say? Eastern Standard Time? Yeah. Okay. Forbidden History Live. I will leave a link in the description. It will now be permanent in every description on every one of these live streams. Thank you, Shelley. Please go there and subscribe and ding the bell. That sounded funny. So that you get notified. But 9 p.m. Fridays and Sundays, Eastern Standard Time, US. So there will be one in. Hang on, I'm in a different time zone. You all know I'm in a different time zone. I can't calculate it right now. In a few hours, a bit more than a few hours, there will be another stream for the Forbidden History Live. Can't wait.
Yeah, we're going to do it at 9. We're targeting 9. So Fridays right now. Everything's tentative, of course, because anything can change. But at the moment, 9 p.m. Eastern Time Friday, and then and actually I have a few more days available for anybody that wants to interview me. Okay, because I'm just trying to work around the best timing for Yo Shelley G on the chat there. So that's 9 tonight as well, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and so she was willing to ramp up, to give me more interviews. Certainly, I'm under threat, duress, and coercion because the local Masons here have pressured me right out of the apartment. They priced me right out. They raised my rent so I couldn't afford it on purpose. They bought the house out from under me and then raised my rent. So we need to relocate. So any donation would be certainly appreciated. Contact at freeamericaradio.com is the PayPal email. Contact at freeamericaradio.com, or you can go to the PayPal button at therealpublicradio.net. therealpublicradio.net. And then Ninja will be glad to send you for any size donation, or if you don't have the funny money, she'll get to you anyway the PDFs, the sample translation project that we're working on, the Book of Wisdom, the sample of my resume, so you can see my background as well. And also Real Da Vinci Code, Etymological Dictionary, yada yada. Right, Ninja?
Yep, and just let Desert or myself know so that we can send you the PDFs. Yeah.
Okay, and so we have standing by Jet 888. 8s are my numbers, the number of return, Jet, and you're returning one more time with a good question today. How are you?
Well, greetings. Thank you. I'm good. How are you guys?
Well, I'm hanging in there. As Ninja says they say down under, no worries.
No worries. Because, I'm hanging in there too. But devoting.
Your life to higher principle.
Sorry. All my focus right now is I've created myself a little bubble, and this is my focus right now. This stream. So I'm doing good. Yep. No worries.
I think. Well, we're both Ninja and I have a similar stress level right now with what each of us are going through. She's ultimately having to relocate as well, and
gosh.
Yeah. So, a different story, but so she really needs prayers and everything, and so we'll be transitioning within about 45 days approximate, I would say. Could be a little less or a little longer, I'm not sure, but it's going to be, everything's being packed, and I regret, just when I was about to do the transliteration, word processing, get this translation going, and
Timing.
talk about it, now I'm shutting down, but Millersburg, Ohio wasn't worthy of the project, certainly, and we're going to higher ground, literally, and so it's going to be a wonderful change to be out from under the thumbnail of oppression of Freemasonry,
Right.
And so,
Speaking of oppression. But, that's the thing, too, is it just seems like, the power to be, it's like there's this state of terror. They always want us to be in some form of state of terror, It's part of their control, I think.
Yeah, the technique of targeting is to keep you off balance. It's to keep you, flustered, challenged.
Yep.
All of those things.
And exhausted, all the negative stuff, frustrated, angry, all the negative stuff. Yep. Yep, they love it.
I was speaking with a friend the other day, and we were talking about just government control and all this stuff. And so we had the question about the purpose of the birth certificate by the government that our parents have to fill out, and what is the purpose of it if it's not to put a claim on us?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'll go into that then. Jen, you ready? Okay.
Yep.
And so basically, the birth certificate. First of all, the term birth is an oxymoron in the sense that we see it's in a mercantile commerce because shipping. It has to do with on the high seas because a birth is when you have a birth, the ship came into the dock. That's a birth. And so these terms, I can also define these terms. I'll cap off with the terminology based upon having a baby. But so the birth certificate, it comes from Roman civil law, and so basically when a slave baby was born, the feet of the slave baby were impressed upon ink, and then the feet of the baby were then impressed upon the back of the birth certificate prior to its feet ever touching the ground. So as soon as its feet are impressed on the back of the birth certificate, it's a slave forever. And so before its feet ever touched the ground, it was a slave. You see, and so very symbolic, and in that sense, that there's symbolism always associated with the legal sleeves of it. So the birth certificate, it's certifying something. Like, do I need somebody to certify my coming into this world, right? Like, I think the evidence that I'm here is enough, right? But no, they got to create a certificate. So a certificate of what? Certification is a prime term in you have to certify something, to validate it, right? And so the birth certificate, when it is created by the local government through the hospitals, then the birth certificate goes from the local hospital to the state, and from the state it goes from upper and lower case into all capital letters, what they call the Phoenician alphabet. That's the original alphabet. Ironically, they turned what was the free-flowing original alphabet into a commercial code and a war diction at the same time. And like nom de guerre, your supposed name, your item sonan in all capital letters sounds like you, looks like you, but it's not you because it's all capital letters. That's called a nom de guerre. A nom de guerre means name of war. It's a war diction because they wage war on mankind.
Wow.
How do you spell that? The nom.
A nom de guerre.
Yeah.
Well, Nom, and then middle word. It may be attached to the second word, but it could be de, nom de, and then guard, G-U-A-R-R-E, I believe.
You're like a guard, guardian, guard.
Well, no D at the end of it. It's just nom de guerre. And guard, guard is in that sense. And there, I'll put another variable on the spelling there.
And does it go to the Treasury, or where
that's,
in the department?
I was leading up to that.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right. So from the Secretary of State, another certification, then it goes to the Department of the Treasury after it's been converted from upper and lower case into all capital letters. The certificate then goes to Department of Commerce in batch, because it's and it's a money racket, of course. So it goes into the Department of Treasury in Washington D.C. and then it fits the bill of of what Washington D.C. is really all about, which is slave running or harvesting labor, because the word capital itself is capital, and the capital, the kappa, is you put a cap on your head, is the head, and then the tal is the tally, that's the count. The capital is the head count of all the slaves they got in the Department of Treasury, and then because the Federal Reserve took over the government, and the government is nothing more than a showpiece in bankruptcy, then the birth certificate, in other words, as most people have heard, there is no money. There is only the illusion of money, and whereas real money was gold or silver in particular, then the question is, what is backing that funny money that we have today, that we pass around, called the debt instrument, and it is the labor of our body. So each birth certificate that is brought into commerce, into the Department of Commerce, therefore the Treasury of Washington D.C., then is monetized, and it brings in. It has increased over time, and so today one birth certificate brings into commerce approximately $1.5 million, which is the estimated value of your labor throughout your lifetime, and it immediately funnels $1.5 million into circulation in one form or another, mostly by numbers, in digits on a piece of paper, and then so that's what makes the wheel go round, is the slave labor. They have perfected slavery in modern time. They got the slaves to take care of themselves, work from Monday through Friday, to go home and eat and shower, come back again the next day. They give them the weekend off, and because they don't have one day off a week like they used to in ancient time, now they get 2 days off. They really think they're freemen. They get their week.
Collateral.
Yeah. So it's quite a shell game and quite a racket. And in fact, when I was still in Texas, I went to a coffee shop where they did live music. Good homegrown music, not like country music. Geez, that really has gone down the tubes over time. But they had in the shop books that they were selling on the wall, and I had heard about the Roman handbook, the handbook on Roman civil law. That's when the New Deal came with they moved away from common law, and they were going into statutory code rules and regulations, all for corporate, of course, not for the people. They just convinced us it was all geared toward us. And so I got it $5. I got the book. I couldn't get over it. First thing I did was look up birth certificate and security, and because the birth certificate becomes the security. That a security is what we find on Wall Street. Then, right? They put the securities there, security, stock exchange, all that, and so you become the surety on that security. You're going to make good that $1.5 million, and even if they have to put you in prison, then they'll still monetize it and make money off of your hide. It doesn't cost money to be putting people in prison. It makes them money on Wall Street because the birth certificates go to Wall Street once you create the bond. But what was interesting about looking up the word security was in the handbook on Roman civil law, which was given to all the judges because they were given silent judicial notice that they were going to move away from common law into the statutory realm of fiction. And it said that the first thing you need before you can create a security, this is talking to the judges in the book, the first thing you need before you can create a security, which is the birth certificate, is you need a quote-unquote hostage.
Oh.
That sound like slavery?
Wow.
Yeah.
You are the hostage to your birth certificate. Your driver's license is evidence that you're a slave because you can't go anywhere without it, even though it's a license. A license is a lie sense, right? because there's no law that says you have to get a driver's license. You were convinced of it. That's all.
Under what jurisdiction do they claim? Like, you know what I mean? Like, who has the authority to tell you you need to get a driver's license? And I mean, like when I was born and my parents signed the birth certificate, I mean, I didn't agree or consent to anything that the country, any of their rules or anything. So when did I consent to this? I guess when you sign up for a driver's license.
Well, it was before that. Your parents sold you out. Our parents sold us out because they were good slaves also.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. And so happy birthday to you.
Yeah. And the doc.
The power of the doc. Yeah. So let me talk about those words. Yeah. So let me talk. I'll talk about those words. I think I went where I wanted to go with this. And so now, the terms. There was one thing that just slipped from my forehead, but it'll come back hopefully. So when we're talking about the birth, which is when the ship comes into the dock, so we're talking about now having a baby, and so we call it a birth, and so we know that in this idea of, and I want to remember all the terms because I hadn't done this in a long time, so I want to get the. Okay, so the mother, she's pregnant. And so she's going to have a baby. And so once they realize that she's about to give birth, then they pull her into the dock. No, you're good. So you pull into the mother pulls into the dock, and she's about to give birth. And so what do they call it? In other words, she is the ship. She is the ship because the ship is about to unload the cargo, and so the ship pulls into the dock, having the berth, and so then now they are unloading the cargo, and so how do you unload the cargo with the longshoremen? They're laborers, they're in labor, so the ship is pulled into the dock, giving birth. The labor is occurring. They're unloading the ship, and the dock is there, the birth, giving, right, well, the birth through the birth canal, that's, the birth canal would be the, symbolic of the, where the ship pulls in, because it's a narrow channel, right, it's a narrow channel tied to the dock, and tied to the dock, you're tied to the dock door. The dock door Tor means power, and so the dock has the power and authority of the state because he's bringing the baby in. And so while the mother is in her most extreme situation, the doctor gives her then a clipboard with a bunch of papers on it and says, hey, sign here, sign here, sign here. And she's got to sign off on the delivery, which is actually a commercial term. And but before I define that word, so then she's signing the papers. She becomes the informant, the informer, and the informer is giving information, and the providing of this information is the nexus to handing over what delivery means, because delivery means that she just by signing all that paperwork handed over full control, keyword, and authority to the state by power of the dock, okay? Because that's what she did. She informed on you. She informed on herself. She gave all the information that was private, that was nobody's business, just because you're having a baby, but they created a legal certificate, a dock certificate. Now that is the evidence of the cargo that just came in. I think it's also called a waybill. And so that's what literally happened. But before any of this could occur, one prime element must be involved in this negotiation and transaction, and that is somebody has to be contracting. And that's what they say the mother is doing as soon as she's about to give birth, right? Contracting.
Wow. contracted. Yeah, I remember those.
What a shell game, huh? What an illusory drama of what we go through when we're bringing babies into the world, and they made it into a commercial reality, right?
Wow. Mm-hmm. Happy birthday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I
Wow.
had to get some wows out. They're in the chat.
Sorry. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
I'm so ready to burst with all the wows. Seriously. Wow. Yeah, sorry, please continue. I'm quite happy sitting back listening.
Well, the other thing that's interesting about the birth certificate is that on the birth certificate, the father is not given a dominant character. Now remember that it is the man's seed. So by right, it's his biological property because it is his seed that he planted within the woman, and the woman is merely carrying the baby.
Yeah.
She's merely carrying what is ultimately a biological product of the father, but note that they make the mother the dominant feature on the certificate, and they want to know her maiden name. They don't care what her married name is. Give us your maiden name, because we're going to back engineer it as if you were not even married. Give us your maiden name. You see?
Wow.
Yeah.
Just
wow. Bastard. In other words, maybe a bastard, no father.
And I'm looking at my birth certificate right now, and it's like, well, your social security number has nine letters, and then I'm looking at it says local registration district and certificate number. In the top right corner, there's six numbers. So I'm wondering, is that the mark of the beast? Is the social security the beast?
Okay. Well, that's good to talk about numbers, because 9, as in 9/11, and as it is an upside down 6, if 6 is the number of creation, then 9 being turned upside down is the number of destruction.
Right. So they.
Yeah.
Wow. So when they say the mark of the beast, don't we already kind of have it when you're given a birth certificate or social security number?
Well, you see, we could identify multiple things that are mark of the beast. We could say the birth certificate itself could be a mark of the beast, or the money. What do they call the money in Germany? They call them marks. So try getting rid of that money. Try throwing it away and don't touch it anymore. You can't do it, because you're not going to be able to buy food or get gasoline or the other things that you need. So there's a mark of the beast. The mark of the beast, we could say, is a social security number. Sure, those are evidence marks of the beast system, but the true mark of the beast, as it talked about in Revelations, when it said that it is in your forehead and it is in your hand, because what it really, the real mark of the beast is how they get you to think, and which is the mark in the mind, in the forehead, and how they get you to act, which is the mark of your hand.
Well,
Good
thank
slave,
you.
Bad slave, right?
Thank you. I just want to say that. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Wow.
Nobody has said
so
that
the
before.
mark is how you think. And what does it say at the end of Revelation? Forgive me let me finish my point, then jump in. And so in the Revelation, at the end of Revelations, it says that Yeshua's mark, those who follow him, his mark will be found in their forehead and in their hand. You see? So you can only serve one of two owners, one or two masters, one or the other. If you think like the beast system, you're a good slave, or you are not a good slave, and you are a free thinker, and you are dedicated to Yeshua. So the mark, so it doesn't matter whether you have a social security number, money in your wallet that's funny, or whether you have a driver's license. None of that matters. It says in the scriptures, are you a slave? Then don't seek to be free. Be a good slave. Obey all the rules. But are you a free man and not bound? Then be a free man. Don't seek to be a slave. You see, so no matter what state you're in, you can serve the great Father of light. That's goodness. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The people are concerned. Oh no, I'm going to lose my. They don't even have a connection. Okay, they're afraid about losing their connection. They don't even have a connection. They're worried about taking the social security number, getting the money in their pocket, because they're still slaves in their thinking.
Yeah, they don't want to get off that treadmill. That's
No,
security.
they want the world and the Father at the same time, and you can't have both. You can only have one or the other. You can use the money. You can have a social security number. You can be a slave of the state and still be a free thinker and enlightened. That's the great mystery.
Wow. So, I'm just sorry, it's going through my head a lot. So, I'm even thinking about how we're made to pay taxes and all that stuff. And again, based off of what? We allow authority. People that just have uniforms, civilians just kind of give authority to them, even though we don't have, we give it away. We so readily give it away. We're so mind controlled to just hand ourselves over.
Because they took control of our thinking with the beast system while we were still in our diapers, right?
Right.
And then there was a book that came out, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, originally found in an IBM typewriter, then reproduced, and in there it talked about this, the secret societies conspiracy. It's all Vatican front, Jewish front, Freemasonic front, secret society front, and it said in there that we've got to get the mom has to get out of the house and go to work. And then when the mom goes to work, they can put the baby in daycare, and we can get control of them right out the gate. And then what they called them, and what they defined the baby as an occupationally orphaned child, because mom had to go to work. And that's how they designed it, so that they could fully get us into being good slaves right out the gate.
And I'm also looking at the back of my Social Security card, and again, there's 9. There's one letter, and then there's 8. So the total is there's 9 numbers on the bottom right-hand corner. There's your number 9 again. Mm-hmm. So what's the word custody then? Custody. What is there an origin? When they
I guess they want you to curse today and keep on cursing. Use the cursor on your computer, right? Curse as much as you can.
Cursor. Ooh. Yeah.
Custody, yeah. So I don't know, custody. I have to look it up from a legal standpoint. My boxes are packed now, and I'm not even. I was going to get the one on understanding, and I realized I already packed that book. Understanding. Those who want understanding. This is in Bouvier's Law Dictionary from the 1800s, which is distilled the dictionary of the Supreme Court, not Black's Law, which is used in all the other lower courts. But those who want understanding are buffoons, drunkards, and lunatics, something like that. So you don't ever want understanding, nor do you want for nonsense.
Comprehension.
Comprehension. I know you already got that one.
I retained that one.
Yeah, Lorraine was having fun with that one when she interviewed me.
I'm trying.
I'm giggling because I can relate. Yeah.
Okay, I'm still trying to figure out a better word for good day or good morning. Forget that one.
Yeah. So how late are you
g'day.
on Ninja? You said you were relate. How late?
Sorry? What? Sorry?
How late? How late are you? You're relating. So how late?
Oh, Desert.
All right, never mind.
Okay. Now you've got me. I'm trying to think of another Aishavor to replace relate.
Yeah. Well, we know we don't want to be awake either, because awake is a funeral, and it just gets worse as we go. Just like
Okay.
Well,
I can't.
Just be awake. No, God, you can't do that either. Wait. Never mind. I'm going back on mute.
So when we wake up in the morning, when we say we wake up in the morning, we're going back to being dead again, right?
So when we go to sleep, we wake up?
Wow. Wake up. Dawn. It dawned on me.
Good morning. Wake up, right? Have a wake.
Yeah. So dawn, it dawned on me.
Well, that's a good word. Dawn is good.
Yeah.
That's sunrise.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got to create a better word for good morning. I know good day. I know Ninja loves a good day. Good day, right?
Yeah, it's more like you just say the G. You just say the G. You don't say the good day. You say the g'day. It's g'day. A little bit of a lesson in Aussie slang.
Well, great. Well, great. You know.
Wow.
Did we do enough damage, Jet?
Yes, you did. Thank you very much. Now I have something to think about all day long in my slave state. I want to know how to break away. I mean, how do people start really breaking away from that control? Well, we can do it mentally, but without being retaliated against. So I guess you can't have both, right?
Well, the thing is, the true freedom, is in the mind, because they can capture our body anytime they want to and destroy life or put it in a cage. You know, so the true sovereignty is in the mind. We are in two worlds. We are in a physical realm, and we are in a invisible realm, which is of the mind. You know, it is beyond the mind. It is the meta-mind portal, so to speak, in the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment, therefore, like it says, to lay up your treasures in heaven, where moth nor rust can destroy it. So this is why when we saw if anybody has read the Fox's Book of Martyrs, if they haven't, they should, because it's such a great expression of the enlightened ones that throughout time gave their lives. They literally went to the arena with a smile on their face, or they were nailed to the crosses and had grease poured all over their body and then lit up like torches. Or the story of the Cathars, the ones in France when the Roman Empire went after them and said, "All right, you're coming out," and they tied them up all on the stakes and lit them on fire. You know that the generals or whoever they were watching this and reporting it says, these people had such dignity, they never once ever let out that they were in discomfort or pain, that they had smiles on their faces when they were being tortured. So there is a true sovereignty, and it is within the spirit of life, and that is what we have to go for. Not worry about being set free from government, political, constrictions or manipulation, because that's irrelevant. Are you free? Then don't seek to be a slave. Are you a slave? Then you don't have to seek to be free. What you need to seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and the enlightenment, and all other things will follow. And it won't matter what man does to you physically, but if you are one with the sovereign of life, then you have purpose, and he will use you in his realm, and won't just let you fall victim to the circumstances like those who fall victim to these great tragedies of tsunamis and burnings and all these other things, because he has a higher purpose for us. That is what we have to seek, is the higher purpose for our being, and then all other things will become relevant and clear of what we need to do. See, we can be in all situations, and that's the way it really is.
So we comprehend that we don't need permission from anyone. We don't need to. We are free. I mean, we don't need to wait for them to give us permission.
Well, what they've done, we'll see what they've done in the enslavement, is they also took control of all of our spiritual knowledge. They took control of the words outside the Vatican at a place called the College of Abbreviators, run by the Jesuit Curii. They put the cure in your eye, and then they took control of the translations. Remember, if you had a copy of the scriptures just 500 years ago, you would have been burned at the stake. So they didn't want you to have the book at all. And then once they couldn't stop them from printing books anymore, they said, well, let's control the narrative. They control the words. And so
they're still doing that. I mean, just look what happened just recently, how they're banning certain videos and they're punishing people.
Absolutely.
If they're trying to, and they're still doing it.
Yeah, they're banning books too.
The point is,
they're banning books too. Like, they're starting to really knuckle down.
Yeah, there's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
It's another version of the other version that's going on still. So the only difference is it looks like they destroyed the world permanently now, and so the joke's on them. When they thought, in other words, their whole Babylonian Talmud boast was that we're going to conquer the world. We are the sovereigns in the world. We're going to have our Zion here and eat cake too. And so their Zion, the Zion of the Babylonian Talmud, is world domination. Whereas the true original idea of Zeon was to be within the light, within the throne of the sun in the metaphor, back to where all creation came out of source. That's the true paradise. That's the true garden. And the atom, falsely called Eden, the atom of the sun, is merely a symbol of the original state before creation, back to the beginning. You see, where Yahweh is, where we want to be. So we have to go on a journey, just like our coming into this world. Since we were talking about birth, let's talk about conception. When the conception occurs, and maybe it's not a maybe it's a reception. I'm not sure, or an inception. But nonetheless, when this happens, inception, interesting, because sept is for seeing. But when a man and woman come together, and then there's a release of the sporum, correct term, sporum. Then there's like several million of these tiny little serpents. Is what they look like, and they're all wiggling towards through the birth canal of the woman that is highly infused with the digestive enzymes that are breaking down these serpents as they're coming through, and then ultimately only one out of millions is going to make it to the egg, maybe. Out of how many times when man and woman come together, then they finally have a baby. So out of millions and millions, only one comes to that egg, and then he releases an enzyme and can pierce the egg, and then go crawl in it, be fertilized, and come forward as a new creation. And so I got lost in all. Go ahead.
Well, they detected a light. I think that they detected a light right when the sperm enters the ovum. There's a light, an instant light that they detected that happens right during the point of conception. So
then if that's true, then that would be the moment when our spirit is placed into that creation. So I can't comment on that, but the point is that we are already one in a million. Maybe one in a billion. Maybe that's the more correct term. So it's just amazing, how nature speaks. Nature is speaking to us, and so this fantastic journey that we went on, we have to go on one more time. I think that's the point I was trying to make. That we've already gone on a fantastic journey from the event horizon of coming to this earth and passing from the man into the woman, and then the miracle of development. And so this whole scenario in the physical is an expression of what we want to see within the spiritual, and we have to realize that we have to go on one more fantastic journey, which also includes a development, because we don't hopscotch and skip into the kingdom of heaven. It says many seek to enter in, but few are saved. So with this picture where one sporum becomes alive with the egg of the mother, whereas millions and millions, or maybe a billion, have to die just so the one can live. The same ratio is actually now occurring on earth in regard to spirituality, that there are billions of people here, and only a few are going to be saved, because only a few are willing to do what it takes to surrender to self and the nonsense that they participate in, and to be a separate people, because that's a part of it, and then to focus, and then to receive that light that can then fortify them and transform their being, so they can become a born again, a second time, because the first time was in the corruption of this world and the illusion. So there you go.
Wow, interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, it's quite a work that we've got to do, and the good news is, it's ironic how the occult literally hate the Father. They hate the light, and that's why the Masons, they call themselves the widow's sons, because they made the Father dead. They blocked out the sun in an eclipse and hid all the light from us. So So the good news is that, like with what we're doing with the original thought in the original gospel work that I'm doing in the transliterations and the dictionary I'm attempting to produce here for the Father of Light, it is possible to bring it back to original. It is possible to have this restored because it's actually happening right now through the original thought transliteration project, as most all of you now know, as you've been following for the better part of a year, most of you that are here. But so like an example, the word rabbi, which we would not prefer because it is has negative connotation on the Jewish front and their Babylonian Talmud and their deception that they play on mankind, the Jewish banking. But nonetheless, the word when they call Yeshua in the scriptures, rabbi, that's not the original term, and we have to see it from the symbol standpoint. And so if we look at it just R-A-B, but it's not a B, it's a V, it's a Rav, R-A-V. The A-V creates the star, the six-pointed star when you superimpose the A and the V together. And so it's literally two words when we read the lexicon of the graphic. And the R is the prime symbol for the word royal. And then the A-V, the Av, as they say in the legal diction, the A-B, Ab, stands for that from the beginning, like ab initio, from the beginning, initiated from the beginning. Ab is correctly Av, A-V, and there's the star, and so it's an acknowledgement in the correct form of the word that the A-V is the star, and it is from the beginning. The star of creation is the sun. And so literally when they called him rabbi, it should be properly transliterated, and this is what I'm doing in the in the translation project, is going back to original thought in the Indo-Germanic, and so rabbi is correctly royal star. And so when they walked up to him in the in the Aramaic 2,000 years ago, and they went to Yeshua, and they said, when we read it, it says rabbi. No, they didn't say that to him. They said royal star. They were calling him a royal star. We can get the picture that he was a royal star, right? Because nobody ever spoke like him before. Nobody could raise the dead. Nobody could do all the miracles that he did. Clearly, he must have been a royal star of creation, right?
Yes. I'm looking at the word rabbi, and it goes, it's like rabbi, rabbit. Teacher uses rabbit. Kind of weird.
Yeah, we know the rabbits have more babies than anyone, so it has a sexual connotation, but it actually goes back to Babylon, which is where the Babylonian Talmud comes from, because the first rabbi on record is Hammurabi. Hammurabi is Hammurabi. You see, so even he had the name, but it has a negative connotation because the people that wear the word, wear the name, wear the title, are part of the psychopathic dementia that our world has, whatever you want to call it. That's why we only have a negative sense for the word, wouldn't want to use it, but the original word means royal star. And so we go back to original, and that's what Yeshua was. So we have to get away from the what we want to call on the slave side of the brain, the left side of the brain. We have to go back to the right side of the brain, just like the word fir tree. Fir tree, it's furry. No, it's not furry. It's fire tree. The fir tree is the fire tree. So see how they slanted all of our words so that we never get the picture of the original thought. It's right there on the surface. It's a fire tree. Why? Because the pine tree, having the turpentine in it, being softwood, ignites quickly in an emergency when you're camping out and freezing to death. You get the softwood, the fire tree. The ancients knew this, and then you get the oak and the hardwood and throw it on top of the turpentine tree, to build your fire.
And also the DMSO also comes from the pine tree, and DMSO is very, very healing. It's what they use for racehorses. It literally heals cells, and I've had my fingertips cut off. I dipped my finger in DMSO, and I can't even tell and remember which hand it was.
Yeah. And I'm taking turpentine right now thanks to one of my sisters here, and that apparently has had healing as well. That comes from, of course, the same tree, like you're referring to.
Yeah, I take it too. I take turpentine and give it to my horses as well.
Okay, wonderful. And I see there's Shannon. She's saying hello to Leah on here, and she used the word Hebrew. And so interesting because Hebrew is, as it took me decades to see the original thought in the word Hebrew because it's the ultimate cyber code, but it is the Avre. The Avre, and literally means the star ray. There's the star again, the star ray. And so it goes, because why? Because this lineage that came down through Abraham, was a pure Aryan line, and then they ultimately were calling themselves the Nazaré. The Nazaré were keeping the pure Aryan line. That's why Yeshua was also called the Nazaré. He wasn't from Nazareth. There was no Nazareth. It's about his culture. He was a Nazaré. There's the word nasal right there. The nasal, what was breathed into them from the beginning, was preserved by this pure Aryan line, and they were the Nazarés, the rays of light from the beginning, preserving the pure tradition. And so I'm about to get into the Aryan origin of the alphabet and a little sample. We're going to take a break, and then Stacy, you said I'll get offline so I can listen. Okay, yeah, Stacy, thank you so much for calling in.
Guys.
You're texting me while you're talking to me.
Multitasking. Wow.
I'm sorry. I want to get up and listen to the on YouTube, and I'll be able to watch people in the chat.
Absolutely, yeah. So Ninja, take us to a 5-minute break, okay? And I'm going to recharge here, and then we'll be on the Aryan origin of the alphabet, and then we'll follow up.
Desert.
Right?
Love you guys.
Love you.
Great call,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
See ya. Desert.
Yeah.
I've been bursting. Sorry. I love sitting back, but I've written some things down, and I wanted to go back to the birth certificate before we take a break.
All right, real quick. Do it now or what?
Yeah.
Oh, when we come back from a break, let's do a break. Let's do a break, and then we'll follow up. All right?
Okay. All right. Okay.
We'll follow up.
We'll take a break.
Thank you.
Okay. No worries.
Right. Who's worried? You worried? I'm not worried.
We're going to take a break so I could go and finish giggling somewhere else. And we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back to part 2 of the Forbidden History Chronicles. You're here with NinjaCat 111 and Dezert-Owl from the Forbidden History series YouTube channel, also Forbidden History Live. I will put a link in the description to that. The first program was on Friday, so it's just started. So please go back and have a listen. It's fantastic. Okay, part 2. Yeah, can I get into this before I forget?
And I just want to mention tonight we'll be back on 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Forbidden History Live. Thanks to Shelley G. She also opened up her channel to the interviews. So we'll be on again this evening, and we're going to do the Aryan origin of the alphabet later tonight as well. We're going to each program with both channels. We're going to go through this book. It's less than 100 pages, so it won't be long, but I think everybody's going to want to hear this. So, but go ahead, Ninja.
Oh,
You got
cool. I'm glad you're doing
the birth certificate.
Yeah, I'm glad you're doing it on both channels. I just want to thank you for that. I have never seen my original birth certificate. I only have an extract birth certificate, and some places don't accept that, but I have never had my original birth certificate. So I was just wondering about that. Does that mean that I'm still a slave or not? Because
well, when you say original, I don't know what you mean. I get a copy of the original when I need one to take care of some legal transaction. So I don't think I ever get. I only get a certified copy. That's what I get. They send certified.
Mine's called extract birth certificate, but it's I don't know. Like with certain things, I can't remember exactly what, but with certain things where you have to show proof of identity, they have had problems with an extract, a copy. And I've never had the original birth certificate, so yeah, I was just curious.
Okay.
Maybe it's different here.
What you're saying is you can't get a certified copy? Is that what you mean?
I don't think I could now. I wouldn't know where to get one.
Well, we what we call them here are the Department of Vital Statistics. It's in each community where there's a hospital. the Department of Vital Statistics records the birth certificates. They put it on microfiche, and then they go fishing for it when you need a copy, certified copy.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm sure there's a place. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I know what you mean.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. They call it vital statistics. You know, like I guess there's nothing more vital than to have to make sure that the slave is accounted for, right?
Yeah. I don't think they call it that here, but yeah, I can't think of the place. Yeah, I know there's some.
And ID. Yeah, ID sounds like it's an acronym for indentured. You notice that? ID, indentured.
Speaking of ID, I remember when, because I always put off for as long as I possibly could getting technology because I always had issues with technology and I didn't like it, so I always put it off. And so I had a Ericsson mobile phone, little brick, for a very long time. And when I went to get a new phone, a smaller one, and wanted to sign a contract for it, like get a contract instead of pay as you go, I could not get the phone. I could not get the phone plan that I wanted, even though I was standing there at the counter in the shop in front of the guy who was on the phone trying to get enough points to prove who I was, even though I was standing right there with 4 forms of identification sitting in front of him, and he kept making phone calls to try and get to waive the rules a little bit so that I could get my phone contract, and I walked out empty-handed because I couldn't get enough points. Yeah, and it just reminded me of that. Like, I was standing right there, and with all this proof, it was obvious that it was me. And and all I wanted to do was get a phone contract, and I couldn't because my identification didn't add up to enough points to be able to do that. I don't have a driver's license. So that would have if I had one, I would have got the contract. But it was just a matter of points accumulated.
It sounds like to me, Ninja, that you're just basically not a good slave.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah. Well put. I like that. Yeah. So that's all. That was all, I think.
All right. Okay, very good. Well, thank you for that follow-up. And so now we're on the Aryan origin of the alphabet, and this is the first, I don't know, is chapter. He doesn't seem to have it in chapters, but just, this is like an introduction. So we'll start with this here this morning, and we'll pick it up on chapter 1 this evening. The Aryan origin of the alphabet, numbers 2. T-O-O. I taught them, this is a quote, okay, so I'm not sure how to read it properly. Numbers 2, or meaning as well. I taught them, and writing, how by marshaled signs to fix their shifting thoughts. Oh, this is from Prometheus Bound, Aeschylus, translation by J.S. Blackie. Let me try that again. Numbers 2. I taught them, and writing, how by marshaled signs, which would be symbols, by marshaled, notice the word marshal, right? Rather, that's a powerful word. The marshaled symbols to fix their shifting thoughts. So they, I should have taken another note on that. I remember when I read it the other day, I had another word to associate with marshaled. But the two greatest inventions of human mind are writing and money. Think about that. And that's what connects with the birth certificate. The money, right? The two greatest inventions.
Yeah.
The two greatest inventions of the earthly mind are writing and money, the common language of intelligence and the common language of self-interest. Intelligence, writing, self-interest, money. That's from Marable. Okay, so the invention of the alphabet, and of course we know if we can't communicate, nothing will happen.
Yeah.
And so certainly that communication and the symbols associated with writing, with spelling. Somebody wanted to put a spell on you, though.
Yeah.
Changed the spelling of the words. Go spell, they said. That's the gospel. Go spell if you can, slave. Okay? So the invention of the alphabet is generally admitted to be one of the very greatest scientific human achievements. It enables civilized men by an easy system of 24 or so-called signs or symbols or letters to rapidly express and register their thoughts and speak through time and space, conduct their everyday business by registers and correspondences, and chronicle their experience for the use of future generations by permanent records. And amongst other things, in association with movable type and the telegraph, which is also based upon a conventional form of the alphabet, it has made possible that living marvel of the modern world, the newspaper, the beating heart of civilization, which gives the news of the world as a diary of the earthly race. But it was, who was that, that one who had the great satire from 100 plus years ago? He said that people who don't read the newspaper are uninformed, but those people who do read the newspaper are misinformed, right? And so hitherto, the origin of our alphabet, the objects represented by its signs, symbols, or letters, and its authors have remained unknown. No. We talk about it right here. It's the forbidden history. And so he acknowledges he doesn't quite get the picture, but that's okay. We get a real scoop in here. Although the subject of many diverse conjectures, let me try that again. So what he's acknowledging, hitherto, the origin of our alphabet, the objects represented by its signs or symbols or letters, and its authors have remained unknown, although the subject of many diverse conjectures. Nevertheless, its authors have been assumed to be Semites by all modern writers, the one mechanically repeating the other. Yeah, this whole thing about Semitism is a total fraud and a sham by Jewish society because it's all Aryan. It all goes back prior to Nova, prior to Shem, or Asham, more correctly, Melchizedek. Okay, so that the Semitic thing is a whole scam, and the word is irrelevant in the sense of when we're talking about culture. This is partly because Greek tradition ascribed the introduction of the alphabet and writings to the Phoenicians. That's interesting because it's always been touted from whenever I heard it that the Phoenicians gave it to the Greek, but the truth is
actually,
that they were
yes.
all
I've seen that.
They were all
Yeah.
influenced by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all influenced by it.
Yeah.
Okay? So,
Okay.
so backing up on this one, this is partly because Greek tradition ascribed the introduction of the alphabet and writing to the Phoenicians under King Cadmus of Tyre, also known as Azov. Tyre being that little island, they pronounce it Tyre, but it's actually Tyre, right there in Syria, on the Mediterranean, and it's like a into the water, and it's a reflection of the Great Flood. It's the teardrop of land into the Mediterranean Sea of the Great Flood as a reminder of that original flood. Okay, so under Cadmus of Tyre, a people who have laterally been regarded by modern writers, but not by the Greeks, as Semites. They were Arameans, correctly. So, wrongly so, as we have seen by the new evidence, and partly because the earliest hitherto published specimens of systematic alphabetic writing, which can be read and approximately dated, have been in the retrograde form of the Phoenician alphabet and in a quote-unquote Semitic dialect, which was often used in quote-unquote Semitic communities by the later Phoenician kings and merchants who are thus assumed to have been Semites, quote-unquote, themselves. And this assumed Semitic racial character of the Phoenicians, they were actually Celtic, okay, and they were the redhead spotted. And so this is not being, this is how it's all been convoluted. And so this assumed Semitic racial character of the Phoenicians is persisted in notwithstanding the fact that the Phoenicians were called by the Hebrews, the Avres, the star rays, sons of Ham, which then means the sons of the creation, and not sons of Shem, you see, or Semites, and thus were regarded by the Hebrews or the Semites themselves as non-Semites. But of course, the Hebrews themselves were not. They did come through Shem, which is correctly Asham. But the point is, they were all Aryan. Each of their names and each of these three characters represented several things in the higher Attic symbolism, and which we can't go into right now. But Ham certainly represented the creation as a whole, and that's why his grandson was called Canaan, which is correctly Genon for the garden at high noon, which was the earth being the garden. And that's why his grandson were cursed in the symbolism, meaning all of mankind, all of us in this lower garden are under the curse, no escaping it. And so this is the word plays and trickery they played on us, even the word Hebrew itself being a code for Avre, and the Avre is the star rays, okay? And that's why we're told we should be like the stars of heaven. We will be like the stars of heaven if we are transformed in our character. We can be a star. That's what they like to do in Hollywood. They all claim to be stars, right? But they're all lying to us. Liars are not stars. Okay. And so the Aryan racial nature of the Phoenicians has been dealt with in my former works and is further confirmed in the following pages. Well, it's not. See, I can give enough weight to the fact that the Phoenicians were not Aryan, but they had Aryan rulers. But they used the Celtic, the redhead spotted, to do their warfaring and to be the puppet kings. That's why we hear in Ireland they still have the tradition of the leprechaun with the pot of gold, because it was the leprechaun, the leopard king, the spotted king, that did the bidding of the Aryan race. And the Celtic warriors, that's why they had the Celtic crosses, because they were the mariners. So that's evidence right there that I just gave you. So, and then he says, see my article on Sumerians as Phoenicians and Canaanites in Asiatic Review, April 1926. This book was published around 1933, I believe, thereabouts. A very good year, as we know, in our recorded history for America when we went down the pike with the bankruptcy. So anyway, I'm going to go into chapter 2 later to see, or the next chapter 1, actually, that was the introduction this evening, okay? So we're going to pick it up then, and we've got a little bit of symbolism I want to do, and again, you can still call in on Skype if you have a comment or a question or a complaint, anything. Love to hear from you. Radio check. It's Free America Radio, all one word, Free America Radio, and love to answer your questions, friends, because as you can tell, I've been doing it a long time, since age 14, studying ancient history, and I've been doing it now about 2 years short of 50, 48 years now of deep study, and so I'm here to hopefully providing something on the table that is useful for all of you, and our days are really numbered here, and that's why we've got to pull this thing together about our true nature, our spirituality. So in a little bit of the symbolism here, the Amen. Amen is a symbol of virginity, and and self-productive, the Yone, conjectural happiness, conjugal happiness, and it is also the Vesica Pisces. That's where the two circles come together in the middle, and they create that, what's called the Vesica Pisces. It's an almond shape when two circles encroach upon each other, which in art often surrounds the virgin queens of heaven, queens plural. Okay, I guess that's from all the cultures then. The Mandalora, the Mandalora, the Mandorla. See also, as the first flower of the year, the blossom is the awakener. Hence, it depicts watchfulness. It also represents sweetness, charm, and delicacy. From the Chinese culture, feminine beauty, fortified in fortitude in sorrow, watchfulness. In the Christian tradition, divine favor and approval. The purity of the Virgin. In the Abraham, the Hebrew, skeked, what is that? I don't know what that word is. A-E-K-E-D, yeah, skeked. To waken and watch. From the Iranian, the tree of the sun, the tree of life, the tree of life. Phrygian, the father of all things, spring. It is associated with the birth of Attis. So even Attis had a ship come in. The almond having sprung from the male genitalia of the androgynous Sibyl.
No, Ninja! Oh, sorry, we still got... Sorry, I thought Ninja jumped on the flight mode button for a second there. Sorry.
Okay.
He's feeling better, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. So,
please excuse me.
Is,
yeah. Please continue.
Okay, I think we may have a question here. What was the significance of Yeshua being born by a virgin? Okay, Jed, that's a good question. And so let's define Mary first. So in the word Mary, it's a code, and it was abbreviated because they didn't want us to have the whole word. But Mary is an abbreviation of Maryam. But let's look at Mary just by itself for a moment. And of course, the Virgin. When we think of a virgin, we could think of springtime and how everything, all life, is blossoming. And so it's like it's a new beginning, right? It's always a cycle. It's a new beginning every year when we come to the month of Mary. Oh, the month of Mary? I mean the month of May. So take out the R, and you get the month of May in Mary, the Virgin of springtime, right? But then we have Maryam, and yam is the root. Yam, like a yam. You know, a yam is that big root you dig out of the dirt. They're kind of like orange in color, the yam. And so the yam is a root, so it's coming from the root. So if we prefer one month of the year, the best month we would choose would be May, and which is symbolic of Mary. And Maryam is plural. And there's something else in Mar. We can see the M-A-R. R is the power. Mare, the power. The mother's power, the Y symbol for light. So literally, Mare in the lexicography means the mother's power of light. Sure, isn't that what Maytime, springtime is? The mother's power of light, right? And so remember, there were two Marys. And one the one from Magdala. It was not her last name, Magdalene. She was Mare from Magdala, meaning the center of idolatry, and so she symbolizes the whoredom. Okay, the whoredom. That's why she came in crying and anointing Yeshua's feet with her tears and anointing his feet because she was fallen. She was fallen into either to support herself financially, or for whatever reason she represented the whoredom, but she wanted to be healed, and so what she represents is the fallen state of the world.
Wow.
Whereas the mother of Yeshua, she represents the virgin light. So we have two Mares, one who is the virgin light that is coming down direct, and then we have one that represents the creation of what happened after the light came down, because in the dense matter, then it became a whore, because dense matter itself is antithetical to spirit, and therefore in the symbolism it is corrupted. It is therefore, it is not what would be natural for the spirit. So therefore, that's why Yeshua, the Son, S-U-N-S-O-N, seed of light, the first atom, he then works for the Father, because the Father, being spirit, cannot come into matter himself, and his agent, his active agent, is Yeshua, who does all things for him and becomes the Father for him. When they said, "Show us the Father, and we'll be happy," and he says, "How long have I been with you? And you haven't recognized me yet?" Because by character, not by physical makeup, but by character, he was the Father, because he showed us the divine love, and he healed. So he saved mankind. So the virgin light, the Mare, is the Mareim, that is continually falling down from the root. The Yam from the root, the plural, many, the atomic light that comes down, constantly maintaining, nurturing. And so Yeshua was not, as we talked earlier about the birth and the seed. So Yeshua was not made from the seed of any man on earth, but was brought forth from the seed of light of the great Father, Yahweh, and was breathed into Mare through her hearing, because she heard the word and she trusted that what was told to her would come to pass. And so the seed came through the hearing, as it does for us, so that we could be born a second time, a second born again, you see, through hearing. So we can be reborn the same way, through hearing. And so it was not through animal compulsion, which is what we get at the beginning of the story in Genesis, that it was Adam wanted to lower himself rather than to apply reason to the strict code that he was to follow in what he should do and not do, and instead fell down into animal compulsion, because it is an animal action in the aspect of intercourse, and therefore there's pleasure also derived from it, which is therefore sensual of the lower world again. Not that it's evil by itself, but that it represents something about sensuality. And so there's a duality, you see, the virgin, the whore. And so he came through the virgin. We came through the whore of creation. He came through symbolically the virgin woman, a lady who was dedicated to the temple. Her mother and father were barren. They dedicated the first baby that they would have in their old age, if they would still have a baby, to the temple. And then they had a baby, and Mare was dedicated to temple service till age 14. At age 14, she's betrothed to Vole Shapé, Joseph. And so she was not even living in society. She was so separate and so pure that she served in the temple. And so this was a very special young lady. And at age 14, they're regarded as adults, and most of them all get married at age 14. What a contrast to our modern time, when people at the age of 18 or 20 are still so immature. It's amazing,
Yeah.
So that's the story, and you're welcome there, Jed. I hope that helps answer that question. Okay, it's all a mystery, but it's all symbols. Everything speaks, and there is a narrative behind all of these symbols within the storylines. They all have a story behind the story. All are talking about cosmogony, the cosmology of creation. It's all there.
Can I ask? Oh, wow, that was a big one. Are you hearing that interference? Does it?
Interference?
Yeah, are you hearing that?
No, I didn't hear anything.
Oh, it hasn't. It's a weird one. It hasn't happened before. It's weird. It happens when
Okay.
you say, I think it just when we go on to certain topics and things. I don't know. It's weird.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, Lynn, said it perfectly. It's like a grinding noise. I have a question.
Okay.
Why is everything always based on? I think you've touched on this before, but why is everything always based on Northern Hemisphere seasons and things? Like May here is winter and cold. It's not, September is our beautiful blooming springtime, and just why? Did they have to choose choose a hemisphere, or
Well,
or am I in the upside down? Or
First of all, that's evidence that the Earth is round, of course.
Yeah.
Because we have these seasons that occur, and but second of that is that the culture of the Aryan race that dominates the world, that gave us our recorded history from their point on, and that established all the things that we're dealing with today in creation and culture. They were doing it in the Northern Hemisphere. And
okay,
that's
so
why
it's just from their perspective.
There's two halves. Remember, there's two halves. And so year would be opposite being on the bottom of the Earth, just like daytime is opposite to nighttime. And so there is a duality in all of these aspects. So you have it backwards, of course, because it all originated in Northern Hemisphere. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. And you're just making me think of the evidence that they've found. I don't know too much about it, but the evidence that they've found of Egyptian civilizations existing here in Australia as well. So they were spread across this great sphere of ours.
That's what Australia meant. I defined that a while back, right? It was that it was the eastern route, or the eastern path is what that meant, the path towards the sun.
East Arnhem Land. They still use that in tourist advertisements. East Arnhem Land. Yeah. Sorry, I'll say that again. East Arnhem Land. Yeah.
Take out the L from Australia and you get Austria. How about that?
Yeah. I've actually noticed that. Yeah. I have to be careful when I'm writing, like when I'm on the internet and I'm communicating, because I say, we shorten everything here. I used to put Oz as in OZ, and people would confuse that with somewhere in the States, and so then at one stage I was putting AUS, and people were confusing that too. So yeah, Australia's in my autocorrect now. It's just a long word to write when you're writing messages and things. Yeah. Anyway, please continue.
Okay. So, Tin and Yang. That's a good one, Jed. Tin and Yang, not Yin and Yang. Tin and Yang. Okay. That's what they wanted, was the tin, right? They thought that was so important. They didn't tell us how they were going to get the ore to make steel, so they could steal everything. But so we're back on. I have a couple more symbols here, and we'll maybe do a few words. We're about wrapping it up now. I appreciate everybody staying on with us today. And some people regard Easter. Of course, I consider all days the same in Yeshua. Easter is the Eastern Star, and it is the symbolic of the equinox, the springtime equinox, when the days are getting longer. So aloe is a symbol for bitterness, but also integrity and wisdom, also sacred to Zeus and Jupiter. And I don't think Zeus and Jupiter are actually real, though. How could it be sacred to them? That's interesting. So, but anyway, that was the Greek culture, of course. So alpha, the beginning, the first principle from which all things proceed. So there you go, alpha, the beginning.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. See, A for the symbol of the sun. The beginning, the first principle from which all things proceed. Alpha and omega represent the totality, the beginning and the end. Like the Hindu Aum, or Om, O-M. They symbolize the entire range of sounds, also infinity. Alpha and omega are sometimes portrayed by the eagle and the owl. Eagle, letter A, of because it's the eagle. It's not the eagle.
Wow,
It's the
yeah.
eagle,
Yeah.
right? And the mega is the owl, right?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I know that one. Just please continue. I'm just going to race to the door and let Gimpy in because he's banging on the window right near the microphone.
Tell him hello, okay?
Okay, I will.
All right.
I'll be back in a
so
second.
day and night, and in Christian, okay, so eagle and owl, day and night, and Christianity, they appear with the cross and the Cairo, and also see labyrinth. And then one more, altar, which is an important word, and altar, that's where they've altered everything. And the divine presence, the sacrifice, reunion with the deity by means of sacrifice, integration, thanksgiving. Its situation at the east end of the temple, cathedral, or church represents the position of worship towards the sun and in the direction of paradise. That's right, the atom, the Garden of Atoms, the Eden. Being in the shape of a tomb symbolizes the passage from death to life and from time to eternity. The steps up to the altar are ritual ascent, stone altars, or Bethels. See stone. Wow, Bethel says see stone. This is a revelation.
Oh, Desert, did I just miss something? Did I just miss a wow? Did I? I just got back.
Yeah. Stone altars or Bethels. I just saw something in the word here that I have to investigate now. So, Bethel, because it says that it was originally called, I have to look it up before I comment on it.
Okay.
Signify the indestructibility and everlasting duration of the divinity, associated often with the tree, as the complementary aspect of change and renewal. Well, in the sense of the tree, if we're talking about creation, sun, earth, and moon, then the earth is the altar. Sun and moon are male, female coming together, and the sacrificial altar of life is on earth. Obviously, this is where it's all happening down here, right?
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Is being sacrificed. Everything has a beginning, has an end.
Yeah.
Okay. So from the Aztec, the symbol cylindrical solar stone was used for both sacrificial and astronomical purposes. Whoa! How about that? They use it for watching, tracking the stars, and let's have a sacrifice at the same time.
Multi-purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. Buddhist. The center of devotion is a shrine rather than an altar, although the latter may be applied where it serves to carry images, books, sacred objects, the scrolls, and offerings to the Buddha. That's the flower of the light, the sun. But the idea is an instituted rite as sacrifice is absent. Let me take a sip of mine. Throat tonic here, and we're almost done. Okay. So the altar represents both the tomb and the resurrection.
Duality again. Wow.
Yeah. Death transformed into life. The sacrifice of the Moeshiach, the Christ, in the bread, in the Metzor, and the Moeshiach as the Son of Righteousness, Son, S-U-N, right here, the Son of, and righteousness being a code, means perfection in the flowing light. So the Moeshiach is symbolized as the sun up in the sky in the perfection of flowing light. Get the picture. He never stops shining, and he continually feeds us his nourishment. Never stops. What? Talk about power. Non-resting, right? How can that be? Wow. The wood is the cross, the stone, the rock of Calvary, and the raised altar is both the ascension and the Moeshiach suffering below the hill. The rails are the division from the pure anointed, where only the high priest may enter, the eye of the return. The 3 of 7 steps to the altar symbolize the Trinity or given gifts of the true anointed the Holy Spirit. The linen cloth on the altar is the winding sheet. The winding sheet, how about that? And the brocaded cloth is the illumination of the royal throne. Symbol of the sun again. Hebrew, the abre, the sare. The altar of perfume is the operation of the favor for all for the elements. That's Philo. Hindu, the Vedic fire altar takes on the vertical symbolism of a world center. It is an imago mundi, the creation of the world, the uttermost end of the earth, Rig Veda. The clay from which it is built is the earth. The waters for mixing are the primordial waters. The lateral walls are either the atmosphere or the surrounding ocean. The altar is based on 3 circular perforated bricks or stones symbolizing the 3 worlds superimposed and also representing Agni. Well, the 3 worlds are sun, earth, and moon. Sun, earth, and moon. And the moon simply represents death, while the sun represents life. And everybody down here is seed of moon till they are born and become seed of light. Second born. Okay, representing Agni, Veya, and Aditya. Those are the 3 names, the lights of the world. The lowest, and of course the earth is the emerald green, the emerald fire. The lowest, so we have 3 colors. We have white for the moon, yellow for the sun, and green for the earth. The lowest stone in the Vedic fire of Agni, the middle stone, the intermediate world, and the highest stone is the eye, or the opening heavenwards. Okay. The continuous space in the center is both a passage for the ascending fire and a way to the higher world, passing from death to immortality, from darkness to light. The fire altar is also the year and time materialized. The 360 bricks are the days of the year. That's the mean time between sun and moon. Moon, I think, has 365, and the sun has 255. Anyway, I got 355. Okay, so the 360 is right in between both sun and moon, the solar and lunar. Bricks are the days of the year. The sacrifice on the altar restores originally unity and being orientated toward the east, and the sunrise symbolizes an ever new beginning. Okay, so that's symbolism, and of course it's what they didn't want us to know that we tell right here, Ninja, right?
Exactly. Wow.
AGNI, Jet, AGNI. Okay, that's the word. I can't define it. These are these obscure terms. You have to go back and look up the meaning again whenever you come across them. But it's one of the gods of the Hindu
Okay.
tradition, basically.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it at all. No,
Yeah.
haven't heard of it. Wow.
Yeah, Agni fire. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay, so there we go. I guess we've done enough damage for one day, Ninja. Nobody's calling in. We're going to be back on tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Time.
I do have
did I say 6 p.m.? That's Pacific.
No, that's
Pacific.
9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US desert.
Right.
I do have a question. I have a question.
Okay.
Wow, that interference. Okay.
It sounds like they're sharpening their swords, doesn't it?
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, well, they're laser beams.
They're getting ready to storm our home front here.
Yeah.
With their swords. That's okay. That's Yeshua's a royal flaming sword. He can take them on. He says, the battle is not yours. The battle is mine. He says.
Cool.
We have ceased from fighting.
Yeah.
We're at peace, at rest. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Question. I'm confused about something. There was I won't get into what they're putting on the TV over Easter here. It's not cute little animated Easter bunny things on the TV anymore. But anyway, they played a movie the other night, and I've never watched it. Ben-Hur, and I was curious, so I looked it up, and the first 4 things that came up were talking about he was a fictional character, and then something else came up after that, conflicting that, saying that Ben-Hur, I don't think, actually I think Ben was a different word, but was a descendant of Cain, and that confused me. Do you know, are you able to tell me the truth on that one, or should I be concerned at all?
Well, the story of Ben-Hur is a classic story. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I think it was about a slave, or a family that was sold into slavery. In particular, the elder brother. He's the focal point of the story. He's got to save his family. There's a lot going on, and it's all centered around the time of the crucifixion. So it is
his
a classic.
Life paralleled Yeshua's. I saw that was mentioned.
So I've seen it several times in my life, and I don't feel the need to see it again, because it's it's just a drama that doesn't really focus enough on what's important, which is basically our transcendence from this world. So I don't get enough inspiration out of them. I like to watch the Gospels. There's several versions of the Gospel of Jesus of Nazareth.
Was there a real person though? Was there a real person, or is it just?
Well, I can't really answer that question. If that's the case, that might be just strictly a fictional story. But if you're saying they were claiming he was a descendant of Cain, then maybe there's
the surname
Hur.
Yeah,
maybe it's a tradition that came down. I don't know.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Please continue.
That's all right. And welcome, Teresa. You're come right in at the end, but the good news is we've got it recorded, and also we're going to be on tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Forbidden History Live. Forbidden History Live is Shelley G's, Shelley G, her backup channel she's created for the Forbidden History. So make sure you subscribe to Shelley G, her other channel. Contact her if you can't find it, because I had trouble finding it. Because we got one program posted there now, and it may be hard to search for it until there's a little activity on that account. So just be aware.
We always put it. We always put it in the. We have a little group message thing on YouTube. We always share it in there as well, and a few of us regulars are.
Below also, right?
It'll be in every description on here as well.
Okay, that's good. So then, so I'll, and I'm looking for a couple more interviews, actually, because I can do 7 days a week, obviously, and I'm willing to, but I'm not able to produce right now on my computer. Just when I was getting ready to ramp up, I'm shutting everything down now and having to pack. So we need some support for relocating. If anybody wants to help out, that would be wonderful. But in the meantime, I'll have my phone with me wherever I go, and I'll be able to talk, with our friends. And so that's good that we have several people that are willing to do interviews. So I know it's technical to get this stuff ramped up, but there you go. It's they got all the money. We don't have any money, but we do get it done on a song, a wing, and a prayer, right?
Yes, we do. We're doing it.
And they are our prayer. You were an answer to prayer. So be helping out here,
Oh,
So
thank you.
Yeshua says there's nobody that loans onto him that he doesn't repay them manyfold. Okay, so the endowment and the enlightenment is yours, including the separation, because you'll be finding you're standing all alone with the truth, because most people can't handle the truth. They don't want the truth. Please give me the fiction. I just want fiction, please. I don't want to know the truth. And thank you, Shannon, as well. And so I guess it's a wrap, Ninja, right?
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, I was just getting... Sorry. Sorry. For some reason, I'm just getting a little bit emotional, just out of gratitude. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
remember,
tired.
this is the forbidden history. And if you want to know the future, don't forget, you simply need to look for the forbidden history, because it's all right here on NinjaCat 111 every Wednesday and every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com. And down under, what is the time, Ninja?
Midnight, Wednesdays and Sundays, right here on the Forbidden History Chronicles.
And so thanks for visiting us, everyone. And I'll pass it on to Ninja, and Ninja will, perhaps we'll see you tonight on the broadcast, right?
What time is it here? What's 9 o'clock? 11? That's 11 a.m. here, isn't it?
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, I will do my best.
All right. Well, I'll let you go, and thank you so much for your great work, okay? And we'll talk to everyone later this evening. Feel free to stop by.
Okay, thank you, Desert. That was amazing.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
See ya. Okay, so you heard it here first. Just going to wind things down. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, moderators, and Jet for calling in. And thank you to everybody else listening, and I will put necessary links in the description for Forbidden History Live. And if you want PDFs so you can follow along, my email is in the description of every live stream here, and I think it's in Shelley's one as well, Forbidden History Live, or you can contact Desert directly. All the information is in the description, all the contact details. Yeah, so love you guys. Peace and light to everybody. And Shelley, I'll see you in a few hours. I'll be there. Even if I have to multitask, I'll be there. I wouldn't miss it. Alright, see you guys later.